So before we went for the break, we were talking about some of the issues that come around mother-in-law, daughter-in-law, and how they get to the children. And we agreed that we are coming back to discuss the effects and how far-reaching they are to the different people that are in the relationship, because this relationship has different people in it. So, coming to you as a professional, before we get it from the live place, coming to you as a professional, what are some of the effects that come with the conflict, and how far do they bring? Is there a point that they bring death?
Yes,
they do.
Yeah, they do. Because once before it reaches to death, of course it ends pale vita kidogo kidogo, the Cold War, and you find that mostly you will find that there won't be growth and maturity in my home now as a wife and my husband, because you find that if every other time is fighting and conflict and debates and arguments, there's no way we can reason together. So you find that we won't even grow. Growth means in maturity, in our relationship, even in investing, because once we have conflict, my mom did this, your mom did this and this to me, and then you went and sided with your mom, but you never solved the problem. What I'll do, I'll withdraw. Of course, the enemy comes in, you will find that there won't even be communication. And maybe you had planned to do an investment together. So now the project will be at still, kwa sababu maybe hatuongeleshani, tumekasirikiana. So you find that we stagnate. Secondly, it can also lead to infidelity.
Wow.
Yes, it can also lead to infidelity, whereby you find, if now I give too much pressure to my husband, every other time just talking bad about his mom. And by the way, I always tell you, if you want your man to love you, love his mom. If you want your man to treat you special, love his mom. Because the moment you do that, you draw him closer to you.
Wait, say that again.
Yes.
I think
yeah. If you want your man to love you, love his mom and let him know you have a special part. His mom has a special place in your heart. If you want your man not even to hide his finances towards you, let him know that you set him free to treat his mom. You set him free to handle his mom in a very special way. But the moment you try to come in and interfere, unajaila unampose sana, your husband may not show you, but you know they do it in secret. Atakuwa anakuachia 500, anawaachia mama yake 1000, simply because you can never disconnect them.
Wait, before we go there,
yes,
let us bring that aspect of finances. Is it right for me as a man to send my mother money without telling her?
It's not right.
It is not right.
Yes.
How should it happen? Should I discuss every other coin that I am sending, or should it be an agreement, or how does it work?
Okay, the Bible says that two can never work together unless they agree. And because this is your own setup of marriage, of course there are principles that govern your home. And the way your mother-in-law ran her own home should not be the same way you are running your own home. So you should have that, agreement between you and your wife. Let your wife know that yes, even before you came, there's a way I used to support mom, and this is the way I would like us to be doing it. Because when you keep it like an open thing, your wife will not be suspicious. Let's say when you have those financial constraints, she will not suspect like, maybe alinunulia mali shamba and hapa hatuna nyumba, So when you keep your conversations open, in fact, you would find that because we have this family set up where the lady is doing even better financially than the guy. So when you keep it open and it portrays some kind of respect you have even for the lady, and you would find that the lady is even ready to offer even more help to the mom. So I think honesty and keeping it open also is an advantage. Yeah.
Wow. Does it help when my mother calls me and needs financial help, does it help when, after we discuss, you are the one who is sending the money to her?
Okay, to me, it doesn't have any much effect whether it is my husband who send the money or I'll be the one sending the money, as long as there's that openness, just as what Nina has said. My husband has already informed me, so whether it is him who will send or I who will send, it doesn't bring any problem. So either of them can send. Yes. Yes.
You see, when the question was when your mom calls you for the money. You see, when you portray a picture to your mom that yes, you can, you give her like a free way to call, let's say, Irene for wife.
Yes.
When you give her that free way to call Irene and ask for whatever money she wants, you're sending a signal to your mother that you are one.
Yeah.
You work together. They are no secret, and it's an open thing. So with that, she gains confidence and she see there is trust between you two. So next time, in fact, she may not even be free to come to you.
Yeah.
She'll be more free.
Direct.
Yeah, and that also builds now that relationship even better.
The relationship between my mother and my wife
Yes.
now grows because
Yes.
I have given them a chance
Yes.
to relate outside where I am.
Yes.
Wow, that is amazing. So you were there for infidelity.
Yes.
You have pushed your man to the wall,
Yes.
and now he's going out there.
Yes. And maybe women push, and your mother has a friend who's a lady, they get along, maybe they've even grown together.
In the village.
Yeah, so you find that wakati umempea pressure, of course he will try to cling to his friend, and of course the mother is supporting it. So eventually the mother will be running to Nina. Oh, my wife did this and this to me, they are not getting along, I don't know what I'll do. Of course he will find comfort. In the process, the enemy comes in. You won't even notice that you've gone out of your way because you're trying to look for a solution. And you find that the mother-in-law will be very happy because now she will find that my son is much comfortable with this friend than the wife. So that is where the infidelity crops in. You find that also the lady, when she feels she has a lot of pressure and she's not wanted in a family, she may try to look for a solution outside there through friends. Of course, the society mostly will not encourage you positively. They will give you the negative way of dealing with the issue. So you won't even notice you've gone out of your way. So what people mostly do, you will go into your own cocoon, but you'll be creating your own world. And by the time you're realizing, infidelity is there. Yes.
So for some actually, infidelity comes in where my mother wanted me to marry a certain girl
Yes.
in the village, and I came to Nairobi and got another one.
Yeah.
So she still feels this one was the one for you. So every other time you run into her,
Yeah.
she has her mind clicks.
Yes.
Unaona ingekuwa ule mwingine hangekuwa na pressure.
Yeah, and the mother has the power to convince his son.
Yes.
Yeah, he has the power. Yes, he used to tell you this woman atakusumbua. They even use that term. Unajua atakumaliza. But if you married Anne, maybe life ingekuwa mzuri. Yeah, so mostly we push our men into the corner.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Apart from infidelity and now running away from finances, is there any other effect that gets to anyone else in your family?
Yeah, so if infidelity is not dealt with, of course the divorce will come in. Kwa sababu nyinyi wawili mkijiondoa, the lady will go look for her own way of now releasing her tension. The man will also go to his own way of releasing tension. You find that love ita fade away. So utapata amtapalilia that love. And that's when ikikuwa too much pressured, divorce will come, whereby you feel, I no longer need you because I have somebody else who is now filling that gap. So you end up divorcing simply because the mother-in-law was involved, whereby there was a certain misunderstanding. There is too much pressure, both from both sides, both the wife and the husband. Yes.
So pressure builds from both sides, and
Yes.
it might now lead to divorce.
Yeah.
So now that we have this family setup, and we want to build our family towards a godly way. Yes, all this pressure is there, and all these things are happening in our family. So how do we build on our marriage the godly way so that we avoid some of these issues?
This one also depends on also, because there are families that of course they've come in together, they are not born again. And I think that is a bit crucial, because you find people will just do things the carnal way. And maybe I'll, sorry, I'll go back to the effect of these conflicts, the way it can also lead to issues like death. Because if they are not well resolved, because you'll find that in the family, I mean in the Christian setup, of course there are people who would look for help, maybe through their pastors, through counseling. But now in this other setup where maybe people are not born again, they normally take matters into their own hands. And say, let's say for instance, in the case where Irene has explained that there's a divorce, or maybe even separation, and maybe before you came in together as a marriage, there's some wealth maybe you accumulated together. So there's this struggle of ilikuwa yangu, gari ilikuwa yangu, nyumba ilikuwa yangu. So in the process of not solving these issues, well, you find that huyu anapangia huyu njama, anauliwa, ama maybe in the process someone is carjacked, you just think, you just hear, yeah, so and so was reported, but it is within this kind of conflicts that are unresolved. And so I believe it also depends on what kind of a setup you're in. If you're in a Christian setup, maybe you'd go looking for help, maybe from counselors or even family members who maybe are there to come in and also offer you the kind of help that you need. But if it is in this other setup where everybody throws their hands into the air and they don't care, then it becomes tragic. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Our viewers, I believe that we have issues out there.
Yeah.
There are people who are going through some of the things that we are discussing here. If you are out there and you feel that you need someone to talk to, you are having trouble with your mother-in-law, you are having trouble with your husband, you have tried your best to fit into the family, but you are not able to actually get into it very well. If you need someone to talk to, there are numbers on the screen. Kindly reach out to us. We will get you help. We will make sure that your family stands, because our aim and the aim of Elevate TV is advancing kingdom lifestyle and making sure that our families and our relationships and our marriage stand at any cost. So now, let me bring it back to you. Family comes in different forms. There are families where the father-in-law will come and love the daughter-in-law, and sometimes they did not have rapport with the son, because men have different ways of showing emotion.
Yeah.
So my dad and I did not have a relationship, but now I come into the picture with a wife, and he has a relationship more with my wife than me. How do we go about that?
Mostly this happens whenever now the man, now the father-in-law, feels that the lady is put into too much pressure. And you know, always men want to help, and they somehow give us the security that we need. Any woman needs the security of a man. So you find that if you find that your father-in-law is too much close to your daughter, this is simply because he's seen this lady is being pushed into a corner by now the mother-in-law, and maybe the son is not coming in to assist the lady or to stand in the gap and fight for the lady. So you find that through that process, if your wife is not close to your mother, she will tend to run to your father. And you know, men are good listeners.
Yes, very
yeah,
good.
they don't jump into conclusions. Yeah, they always compose themselves. And you find that a man will never show a woman that he's an evil one, however bad the situation is. As women, sometimes we get too emotional and we will act based on the emotions that we have upon that time.
True.
So you find that in that process, the father-in-law and the daughter will tend to be close. The other issue that can make now the father-in-law get closer to your wife, maybe because he's been disappointed by the other siblings, the daughters. Maybe he's brought up our daughters and it never went well in life for them. Maybe they never got married. Maybe they got children at home, sorry to say. Maybe some of them ran away and got married. They never came back to inform them that they got married. So you find that whenever now you as the son has a wife, a woman of good conduct, a woman who has good character and morals, of course, the father-in-law will tend to be attracted to your wife. And you'll find that most of the time, they will be discussing matters that he ought to be discussing with his own biological now children, daughters, but he's now getting attracted to your wife. Also, now the mother-in-law can also bring that effect of the father-in-law getting closer to the daughter, simply because the way you as a mother-in-law handles your husband back at home. You find that mother-in-law sometimes forget they have husbands at home. You tend to get too much concerned with the son, unasahau uliwacha mzee nyumbani. You find that the mother-in-law will pack and travel to Nyeri. She's going to stay at her son's place, leaving the man at home alone.
And
Taking care of, and she's comfortable. So you find that kutakuwa na ile gap. The man will tend to feel lonely. The man will tend to feel there's not that good relationship with the mother. And if the daughter-in-law is always calling him, Daddy, are you okay? Daddy, what can I bring for you? Umekula, umefungia mbuzi, ama, of course, italeta hiyo interaction. And this may also bring jealousy. The mother-in-law will tend to feel jealous, like my husband ako close sana na the daughter. But you see, ni sisi tu tumeleta hiyo environment. Yes.
Wow, you mentioned when you were beginning that you did not have your mother, and now you got your mother-in-law and took her as your mother. I don't know if you had your father at that point.
Yeah, he was there, but they were separated with mom, so we weren't as close.
So you were not very close.
Yes.
So when it comes to your husband's now father, was he there?
Yes, he was.
And how was the relationship there?
The relationship was also distant because the nature of his job, he used to travel away a lot. So we didn't have those too much of interactions because of his job. And so the only instances that we would be together is maybe during big occasions or during Christmas. Yeah, so we didn't have
so it was still a distant relationship.
Yes.
For you now, aside from the professional part, now you as a wife, how was your relationship with your father-in-law?
My relationship with my father-in-law was good. By then, I've grown with them. I've been there in their home. And so there was that environment of just creating good atmosphere. But this is basically because I accepted them and I embraced them and I welcomed them into my home. And I showed them being the wife of your son, it doesn't mean I'll have to keep you away. So by me opening the door for them, this created a good relationship amongst ourselves. So for my father-in-law, the relationship has always been good.
Amazing.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
That is nice.
Yeah.
Now, I can imagine there are viewers out there who are saying, my mother-in-law brings food for my husband or always calls wanting to know, have you eaten? Are you okay? Umekula nini? What some of these questions that they ask out of concern, and sometimes it gets a bit too far. For you as a wife, how would you take it if your mother-in-law was to bring food on a weekly or a daily, ama amepika chapati amefikiria wacha nipeleke? How would you take it?
I wouldn't take it so wrong, neither so good, because at the end of the day, our roles has to be defined. Because when I came into this family as a wife, I had my role. Yeah, as a wife, take care of my husband, cook for him, and so many other things. So, and you would find for those ladies who does that occasionally or like daily, their motives are never right, because the picture they portray out there, maybe this what doesn't, unless you're coming to train me. Yeah, maybe there are some areas in the kitchen that I don't know, and my mother-in-law is offering some help. That is okay. But when it becomes now a routine, I don't think it will be taken so well by any other lady, because that shows that I'm disqualified to be a wife who can cook well for my husband. Yeah.
Now that we are talking about food, you know, they always say the way to a man's heart is through the stomach.
Yes.
So now, there's that food that as a man I like the way my mother makes it. Kuna venye anapikanga githeri, and I feel now this githeri is githeri. And now we are married and you have made that githeri, and according to me it has not gotten to where it used to get. How would you take it if that comment came out of your husband's mouth?
Mostly, this will depend on the relationship that I share with my mother-in-law. Because if we have a good relationship, I wouldn't feel bad about it, by the way. It all depends on how far you've gone based on the relationship you share. If there is no conflict, if there is no much pressure, I wouldn't mind even if it has come from my husband, because sitakuwa nimeweka kitu ndani yangu. So to me, I wouldn't feel bad based on how the relationship is between me and my mother-in-law. And you'll find that it will also depend on how you, as my husband, will bring it to me. You know, there's a way you can come and explain it, na iwe it's not in a good way. For example, unaweza kuja useme, and sipendi vile wewe unapika pilau. I don't like the way you do chapatis. Why can't you do chapatis like the way my mom used to do, you know? But there's a way you can come and tell me, baby, I want you on Friday to go home and I need you to go sit with mom because I love her chapatis, and I wouldn't mind if you would go to her and get trained on how to make those chapatis. So it also depends on how you frame the statement. Yeah.
So, Mr. Husband out there, you are the one who is causing trouble. You are the one who is causing trouble in that family because you are the one who is saying all the wrong things.
Yeah.
So now let us wrap up this conversation. We are wrapping up this conversation in this manner. I have my mother. I now have your mother. And I have you. What are the demarcations that I need to put? Because as much as we are talking about my mother as a mother-in-law, I still have your mother as my mother-in-law. So how do we go about it? How do I create those demarcations in matters, the ladies in this circle?
Scenario,
because this circle is increasing the ladies. So I have you as my wife, I have my mother, and I have your mother. So how do I control this circle?
You as a husband?
Yes, me as Mr. Husband.
Of course, first of all, you have to set boundaries. There has to be boundaries on both parties. You have to make your mother accept that you got married and you left her home. And she ought to give you that space. She ought to allow you to have your special moment with your woman. On the other hand, you also have to assert yourself. You have to explain to your wife or let her understand there's a mother. And there's no way I can disconnect myself from my mom. Once you set those boundaries, there won't be much conflict. But what we lack ni hiyo spacing. We don't set boundaries that my mother-in-law, my mom ought to reach to this level, and you as a wife, this is the level that you ought to come to. Yes.
Wow. There's always that relationship where me as Mr. Husband, now that your mom is not there, there are sisters, there are ladies in your family that I sometimes will connect with, and they will become part of family. So how do we put demarcations for these family members? Because sometimes it goes a bit beyond the boundary. And sometimes we might think infidelity goes along out there, but sometimes it falls inside the family. So how do we put boundaries for every other person in the family?
I think the issue here is from onset, there has to be respect. Yeah. No matter how close you are, yeah, this is my sister-in-law. She set us free in her house. Yeah, we can come in. There has to be some respect, and this should come from both sides, from my side and from my husband's side. They should know to what limit or to what extent can I go. Like, for instance, their sister-in-law who come to people's houses, or their sister-in-law who would come to my house, and you would find them like going all the way to my bedroom. Someone wants maybe pasi, anataka kufanya. You know, once you show them that it's okay, I'm the one who has failed. But the minute I communicate as early as possible that, yeah, my bedroom is private. If you need something, of course, you have to put it in a friendly manner, because it's just a matter of creating that good relationship and atmosphere. But there's nothing wrong in setting those boundaries and showing them what you love, what you don't like. And then maybe in your private time, you can even talk to your husband. There are some things which you cannot go directly telling them that this is what I like. But if your husband respects you as a wife, there's a way he can convey that message maybe to the sisters that this is what my wife loves. Please, when you come to my house, let's respect her in this manner. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Some even go to the extent of saying hii kiti haifai kukaa hapa, inafaa kuhamishwa iende ile side, face side.
Ni ya brother yangu.
Ni ya brother yangu. So let me bring it to you as a professional as we wrap it up. I want you to look at this camera and just speak to someone out there who is going through issues with the mother-in-law, who is having issues with the sisters-in-law, the entire in-law family. Just speak to them and encourage them, because they will go through that. 30 seconds on that camera.
What I would encourage us as wives, let us love our mother-in-laws. They are not all that bad. If only we can understand their human nature and their personality, and we learn to live by that, and not carry much grudge, because at the end of the day, they are not leaving us unless you're ready to divorce your husband, but your mother-in-law is there to stay. So create that environment of love, create that environment of peace, especially if you are a Christian. I believe we all read the Bible, like in the book of Galatians 5:22, it says that we ought to produce the fruits of the Holy Spirit. So if you are a wife and you're a born-again Christian, do you really portray the fruits of the Holy Spirit in you, which is love, long-suffering, kindness, goodness? So no matter how bad your mother-in-law may tend to be, do you have the love of Christ in you that you can portray to your mother-in-law? Because based on how you're going to handle the issues, you can also try to change the character or the personality of your mother-in-law. But if you don't produce the fruits of the Holy Spirit, there won't be peace. So let us welcome our mother-in-laws, let us welcome our sisters-in-laws, our brother-in-laws, because we are a family. The Bible tells us that once we are joined together, we are no longer separated, but we become one. And if we are one, let us reason together. Let us have that mutual relationship for the sake of our peace. Because when you're not at peace with your mother-in-law, you are also not at peace with yourself. You are also not at peace with your husband.
Wow.
Yes.
So thank you very much. Thank you very much for coming on set. Tumeshukuru sana for having you.
Thank
So
you.
our viewers out there, we will agree that good relationships do not just happen. They take time, they take patience, and a lot of effort for you to just make them work. Whether it is a mother-in-law, or it is a father-in-law, or it is the entire in-law family, it takes effort and patience and a lot of love for you to make it work. So it is a wrap from us, and I will wrap it up with Ruth chapter 1. There were 3 ladies. One was a mother-in-law, and the 2 were daughters-in-law. And they worked very well, even after the demise of the sons. So it is possible. It is possible for you to have a good relationship with your mother-in-law. It is very possible for you to have a good relationship, for you to fit into the family as though you are one of them. So thank you very much for watching the program. Do not touch that dial. Keep it Elevate TV, advancing kingdom lifestyles, as we are making marriages work and restoring God's order in marriages in our generation and generations to come. So see you next week, same time, same place. Do not touch that dial. Be blessed. And don't forget to call our numbers. Don't forget to like our page, all our social media platforms. We are there for you. Just comment, talk to us, and we will get back to you. And you will be blessed as we advance kingdom lifestyles. Barak.